Welcome back, everybody. Great to see you again, Lisa.
Hi, how are we?
Oh, fantastic. I mean, most dramatic week ever in Bitcoin price action.
It is. So, good friend of mine, he's written me a show this week. Hi, Adam, if you're watching. So, really quick show. So, this week, it's like there's no volatility, there's nothing happening. So, he's a hodler. So, everyone, I want you to just keep hodling. So,
yep, as you were.
As you were.
See you next Monday.
See you next week. That's it. Don't forget to smash the like button. That's it. Bye, guys.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think we're going to have a little bit of an education on the futures.
We are. So let's go into Bitcoin futures and how they kind of work like traditional futures. So you know, we've got, they're an agreement to buy and sell an asset at a specific future date. So say, you know, we've got weekly, we've got half monthly, we've got monthly futures, we've got quarterly futures. So say, you know, BTC's $10,000 now, you think the market's going to go down. So you buy a future and you say, okay, I'm going to buy this future back at $8,000. So, you know, essentially at this point, a lot of people might be betting that the market's going to go down because we're at a strong resistance point. So they're saying, okay, market's around 9,400. I'm going to buy this future back maybe at 5,000. So, and they'll say, I think that this future is going to be at 5,000 in 1 month time. These are just hypothetical sort of timings and prices and that sort of thing. Nothing sort of concrete at the moment. I'm just kind of saying how the futures work. So at that point, so in a month's time, that future is sold at $5,000, or you can re-enter that future and say, okay, I think it's going to take another month to get here. So, you know, if the trade goes against you, then you can always opt back into that future and continue on. So if not, it's a way of hedging against sort of, you know, the market going against you as well.
Yeah.
And a lot of big traders use it. And a lot of the, like, you know, CME and Backed and all of that, you know, they're a way of hedging against the market and the volatility that we see in Bitcoin. So
we used to see.
Oh, we used to see, not this week. So we're all hodlers this week. We've moved, I think, about $300 in this week. So it's, you know, it's not been a great week in trading. Alts have been moving though, which is really nice. So yeah. So
when we get this sort of sideways in a channel, I mean, do you typically play around with a bit more leverage in this type of markets, or how does your strategy change in times of boredom?
If I'm scalping this market, then yes. I haven't done a lot of scalping this week. I've been really busy with my script and doing some edits on that. So it's been a good week.
I want to talk to you about that shortly. That's the
Yeah, so this has been a really good week for me to just concentrate on that. I've had some alt trades happening. Elrond, which has done over 300% in the last, I think, a month to 6 weeks. So it's been an incredible trade. And as I've been exiting other alts when they've been hitting targets, I've been re-entering Elrond. And yeah, so it's, you know, I've got quite a few supporters on there. And what's happening with that is they've got a mainnet coming. They're changing the name. Essentially, they're changing blockchains. So that's kind of what I get from what's happening. And there's some really big developments as to how it works. You can stake Elrond on a lot of the exchanges. So, you know, that's a really good way of sort of, you know, making some money and earning some interest back. And yeah, so, you know, it's kind of Ethereum 2.0 with the 32. I was watching your, you know, live stream earlier on that one. So you know, with your
Sorry to
32.
all my Bitcoin followers. They're probably disgusted that I spent the weekend making Ethereum content.
Well, anyways, it's really interesting stuff. So because Ethereum, you know, they're coming in with Ethereum 2.0, you get your 32 ETH and you stake it. But the thing is, there's all of these other coins that already do that. And it's like, I think they're a little bit late to the party. So, you know, you've got ERD that's already doing that. So, yeah, and that's why a lot of these coins and tokens are absolutely taking off, and they're, you know, they're going to the moon. And we don't see sort of, you know, 300, 400% in a coin unless they're really, really doing what they're saying that they're doing, and they're hitting all the, you know, the benchmarks, and they're hitting all their targets, and they're really moving forward. So this project is really exciting, and you know, I recommend to anyone watching this to go out and do a little bit of research on it, and then decide whether you want to invest in it, because it's actually a really exciting project.
So this is Elrond you're talking about? Yeah,
Elrond, so ERD. And I think it's changing tickers soon. So I think it's PST. I should have looked at that before I.
Have you got a chart for? We're going to have a.
Yeah, let's throw up a chart. Hang on, let me see if I can.
Why would you change the name from Elrond? It's a fantastic name.
Well, I'm not entirely sure why they're doing it. So, you know, there's a whole heap of reasons. I've been looking at all the DeFi stuff, and you know, sort of what they're doing with, you know, those sort of movements, and so it's kind of very exciting right now, some of the stuff that's happening in the crypto space. So
did you see the other video I made, Lisa? It was a bit of a history of alts.
Yeah, you've done some great videos lately. I've been watching them. I've been binge watching.
That one was fun to make, actually. When you look at the percentage gains of some of these things, and what's still around, and what's worked, what hasn't.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and it's also interesting after years and years of just being a Bitcoin media outlet to really sort of delve into some of the other things happening in this space.
You've disabled my sharing again. You're so mean.
Right. No, you should be good.
It says disabled.
Oh, sorry. Can't get it right every week. How about now?
Let me have a look. Yes, we've got some charts to share. So yeah, so with you know, when we think about the 2017 sort of 2018 sort of bull run that we had, and we look at the total crypto market cap, and you know, within that crypto market cap at the moment, we've got, I think it's like 5,000-6,000 alts, whereas when in 2017 we had under 1,500. Yeah. So the market cap includes all of that. So we don't see all of those alts moving all the time. A lot of those sort of, you know, hang around the bottom. They're sort of, you know, really stagnant and not doing anything. Not all projects are going to be making money, because not all projects, you know, obviously there's a lot of scam projects in this sort of arena as well, where they don't sort of progress, and they, you know, they just die off because they run out of funding, they run out of whatever, you know, some of the devs move on to other projects. Yeah, so we've got this Elrond chart up 375% that we made. So it actually made, if you started trading at the bottom, if you bought the very, very bottom, which I bought close to the bottom, it actually made 450%. So massively huge gains on this chart. But we can see that we're in this corrective phase. We should hold in this. Our RSI down here is looking quite good, that this region here should hold. Mm-hmm. You know, a lot of the people that are invested in Elrond don't sell. So because it is staked, you don't want to be selling and trading. So obviously I'm a trader. I don't stake it. You know, luckily I sold the top here because that was the biggest extension on the Fibonacci. So I'm just like, it can't go any further. It's got to correct at this point. And that's kind of how I got that target. So yeah. So, but if we have a quick look at BTC, oh, we've got some movement.
Let me guess, somewhere between 9,400 and 8,700.
Yeah, so we've gone from 9,200 to 9,450 right now.
Okay.
So yes, woo! So in this pattern, I believe we should get up around the sort of the 9,700 mark before coming back down. So I kind of think where I've spoken about it on Twitter, BTC's in an ending diagonal, which will take us to about 10,700 eventually, if we ever get out of this sideways movement. Yeah, so if we get a little bit of volume, we should get to about 10,700. Ideally, we want to come down to the 8,400 mark, but at that point, depending on what's happening in the larger global markets, we could come down to sort of the 5,700 mark. That's our long-term support.
That's the big hairy butt, isn't it?
It is. So
yeah.
And like the way I trade is I kind of zoom out. I look at these bigger moves. I go, okay, there's potential for it to go, if we break this pivot here, we can go to 21,000. If we don't break those pivots, or if we don't hit the points, then potentially 5,700 is what we're looking at. So that's when we zoom out, that's kind of what we look at. But, on the smaller scale, right now, we're looking at around 9,700. We've got support. Our first support is a cross support, so it's around sort of 9,100 to 9,150-ish, depending on exchange. And then, if we wick down through that, we've got a second support at 8,000, sort of 800-ish.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if we look at other charts to see, whether Bitcoin is doing what it's supposed to be doing. So this is Ethereum. And Ethereum has been trading an uptrend channel for quite some time, kind of since the bottom. So if we go into this and we go right back down to this, so we've got since the 12th of March. So, this is this uptrend channel. We're still holding that. This is where we've had this strong bounce from. And potentially it should still get to this 283 target. So 275, 283 target. So that's correlates with Bitcoin going to 10,700. So if I zoom out on all of these charts, that's kind of why I still believe we're still going up at this point.
Right.
So, yeah. And the other reason is Twitter's turning really bearish. So when Twitter turns really bearish, we're going up. So we've got BSV. We're holding a key support here as well. So it's bounced. We've got a diagonal here, and we've got a strong support range here, and we're still holding this. We do have MAs above us, and we've got a strong diagonal resistance above us as well. So, we're kind of looking around the $196 to $204 that potentially we could hit in this before we take another dive. So, it's really dependent on where Bitcoin goes at the moment. So, I know everyone hates to hear that. It's like, but all of these coins, Ethereum, BSV, not so much some of the alts. Some of the alts do move a little bit independent of what BTC is doing, like Elrond this week. Chainlink and Tezos tend to move kind of, independent of the other coins as well. So they're sort of, they work differently. They've got different blockchains.
Yep.
Have
you had a close look at Tezos? What sort of volume is it very much a tradable coin?
Yeah. That's one of the ones that I've been trading. So it moves almost identical to what Chainlink does. Right. So it's actually, so if you can work out how like some patterns sort of work, then you can put it to other coins. And so there's probably like Ethereum, sort of BTC sort of run about the same. BSV kind of just goes sideways forever at the moment. I think they're waiting for some news or something. And then you've got, like, if we run through some of the alts. So this is Algo. So this one's like, I drew this squiggle way back in April. So it's literally moved perfectly to this squiggle. Yeah, so they kind of get these patterns where we can see that this one's got a head and shoulders, like a strong head and shoulders at this point, and you know it's dived right down. You know, at this point it looks like it possibly could have held that head and shoulders, and then you know Bitcoin would have had a second dive at that point, and then you know it's taken out the market with it. So this is quite a strong consolidation wave at this point. So long term, this one is looking really good. The RSI is looking fairly sort of neutral and moving in a very strong consolidation pattern. So, you know, this is why some of the times I've picked some of these alts. This is you know, not just going to the coin market cap and having a look and seeing what pattern is going down on that particular week.
Yeah.
But looking for some of these consolidation patterns that, you know, longer term we can trade and they're going to trade in a certain pattern consistently that, you know, I know it's eventually going to get to the targets. Yeah. So this is OMG. So we didn't get to 125, but on Twitter I posted that 145 was possibly going to be the support. And I started laddering some orders in that range, which has moved really nicely. So now, so this wave here, we've come up and we've rejected strongly on the, this is a visible range profile. So it's a volume, so hang on, it's the visible range volume profile. So if you're looking for it on TradingView, that's what it's called. And it gives you sort of consistent bars as to where, you know, people will supports and resistances. So this is another way of saying that, okay, this area here has a strong resistance. So that means there's a lot of sellers within that area. So at one point or another, there would have been a lot of buyers in that area, and that sort of then correlates to the opposite sort of happening once we get under those regions.
Okay.
So what else have we got? We've got, this is our ERD. So this is another really good project that I'm liking at the moment as well. So this is Eidoo, I think it's called, the full name. So, and it's moving really consistent. They just had a major burn. And a lot of the tokens were just burnt off. And that sort of makes the project more viable. So when we sort of start seeing those burns, it means there's less circulation of the tokens. And yeah, so it then normally stabilizes the price, and eventually the price will start increasing. So there's a tweet I did about 2 weeks ago that I retweeted, just some news. So I put a chart up, and some news came out the very next day. So, which was pretty exciting because the chart was really starting to consolidate at that point. So, and we can see here we've got strong movement and strong support on this diagonal. So we've pierced it a couple of times. That's okay, but we're hitting the targets, which is the good thing.
Eidoo. I've never heard of this one. I'll go away and
yeah, so I've got a few kind of random ones that I've been sort of, you know, researching and looking at the moment. So I do like to see what's out there and what new projects are sort of happening. I've got a couple of traders that will say, hey, can you have a look at this chart? I've been watching this. It's kind of, you know, doing what it should be doing. Can you have a look? Can you get me some targets? What do you think? Mm-hmm. Yeah, so, you know, I've got a couple of those guys that sort of come to me, and a lot of the alts, they'll be like, oh, this one's got this happening right now. And I'm like, okay, let me have a look. So, yeah. So this is BSV Bitcoin pair. So it died. So this is, I think this is my second or third trade to hit my stop loss within this whole entire year. So it's devastating that it's BSV.
Right.
So, but we do actually have strong consolidation here. So we might get one more dip once Bitcoin starts to sort of rise a little bit. So I would say we'd sort of hit these EMA here at about 186, come back down, hold support here on the volume profile, and then we should retest this resistance again up here when Bitcoin drops. So, you know, we're going to get a little bit of volatility in this coin as well.
Yeah. I know this is a trading. I know this is a trading show, but anyone in the BSV camp, can you please give me some suggestions of some of the better projects that are happening right now? It's been out of the loop a wee bit for a month or so. So I'd love to do a show with what people consider the better things happening there. But sorry, Lisa, go on.
No, that's okay. So this is Kava that I posted last week on Twitter. So this one came from Being Crypto. He sent me a message and said, I'm loving, he's support and resistance, and he does block, what we call sort of, you know, the block trades, where he will look at a support and he'll get an order block here and he'll see an order block higher. And it's kind of how the volume profile works. So, and he was messaging me saying that the order block looked really solid, and yeah, Kava was about to take off. I had a look and I'm like, okay, cool, that's in pattern. Let's do a signal. So threw up a signal, made 14% in the first day. It should continue higher. So it's just consolidating at the moment again. So a lot of these alts this week and over the next few days are going to be sort of in this consolidation pattern, and then we'll get some, you know, some strong spikes and that going off. VeChain is one that I put up yesterday. So we've broke out of this diagonal resistance, and we should head up to this. We will, I'll draw some quick sort of squiggles on here. So we should get a bit of a dip here before we head up here. So that's kind of the squiggles that we'll see for our VeChain movement. So, you know, if, I know some people go, oh my God, it's going down. They do go down. They don't go straight up ever. So, well, they did in 2017, but that's different. So, yeah, so this is Link. So Chainlink has been holding. We were in a downtrend channel, so, and it's just broken out. We should come down and retest this downtrend channel before we go up to our target. So, you know, Chainlink's a really, really strong moving coin. It did break down in pattern, but it's continued with a new pattern. So, you know, this flag's looking really strong. So no complaints at all there.
Certainly been a huge mover over the last, was it 7-8 months?
Yeah, it's done some really great movement. So Raven's one, so this is a couple of coins that I'm watching. I haven't got any signals or anything at the moment on them. So Raven's one that, you know, it does make these giant moves, as we can see. Excuse me. And we did have a massive drop, but they've started to have some movement in what they're doing behind the scenes. So, you know, I've seen a couple of news articles come out lately, which means this coin is one to watch. So we'll start seeing some movement in it probably over the next month or so. We do need to hold this diagonal support. If we can break this upper resistance, sky's the limit on this one. So as long as they keep hitting their targets and keep hitting, you know, their points that they're doing with development of the coin, I think there's no issues there at all. Okay. So then we're back to the traditional markets because everyone's wanting to know what's happening with them at the moment. except for me.
Oh,
So,
I think it's going to dictate a huge amount of what happens in the crypto space when something
yeah,
finally
and that's kind
breaks
of
through.
why I have been looking at it at the moment. So,
Yeah.
you know, as these markets are sort of, we get the panic sellers, and a lot of the time, if people are diversified into markets and they get a margin call on their traditional markets, that's when you'll see Bitcoin drop, because they're pulling their money out of Bitcoin, selling, and then, you know, fixing up their margin call so that they don't lose all their funds. So that's kind of something that you have to be aware of when, you know, these markets, the traditional markets, are really dumping and traders are getting margin called, Bitcoin will drop. So it doesn't always correlate, but now that, you know, there is volatility in the traditional markets, we're seeing more volatility at the same time in Bitcoin. So yeah, so predominantly here, we should see maybe a little bit more of a drop to sort of this level here, this 2400-ish level, before we attempt another like up. We've still got a lot of federal money sort of printing and circulating right now. So we want to at least retest this resistance. But at this point up here, this resistance obviously a diagonal. So if this kind of moves sideways at this point, this gap will get filled. So the gap is at almost 2,900. So potentially the DJI could go back up to about 2,900 and then drop, have a greater drop. So which gives us what is called a flat correction. So it just means that this wave here is equal to this wave here, and then we'll have an equal wave down. So, you know, that's probably that second or third wave of Corona that I've been talking about. And yeah, so can you hear my dog snoring? That's not me. So we've got the S&P as well. So similar to what's happening in the DJI, they kind of, this is a really, really gappy chart always. So we have got a gap up here. So we could go to 3,200 at this point to fill this gap. We've got a cross resistance that we could go up to about 3,400 with this resistance to retest it. So we've come down, we look like we're coming up to retest this cross resistance, and then we'll continue dropping down again. So, you know, if we do break these resistances on both of those charts, which I really don't see happening, but if they do break those resistances, then we've got new highs coming, which is kind of, it just means that they're printing more money, more money, more money, more money. Yeah, so I kind of see this market hitting these resistance, dropping down. Bitcoin for a little bit will sort of correlate with that, potentially down to that, you know, that bullish pivot, or break that at 5,700 going down. And at that point, at that if we do go down to that 5,000 sort of 700-ish mark, I think we should have a strong bounce. And that's when we're going to start heading up. But we need to get to that pivot. We need to get to that 10,700 pivot to confirm those upper patterns. And, you know, so if we can just even touch near that pivot, that confirms that we are potentially going into a longer term bull run. So at the moment we're sitting back and we're not really, let's go back onto, we're obviously just sideways right now. So this is our long term if it wants to move. My chart doesn't want to move. So yeah, so right now we need to sort of break this region, or even just touch this region, and then, you know, we can come down. We've got a long-term support along here. and then, you know, our upper resistance points, we should go. So if I was to put some waves on this, we should almost be completed our first wave, our wave one. So up to our 10,700, potentially come down to our 5,700 point, head up to our next resistance, which is up here. Potentially our third wave can come down to our first wave, which is at 10,700, and then that takes us back up. You know, if we get to this third wave sort of point, potentially, you know, there's going to be that much FOMO in the market. We're not going to get this strong dip.
Yep.
But, you know, the reality is that, you know, this here, we're on this long-term resistance right now, sort of trending within that sort of region. If this third wave can explode through there, it can potentially, you know, really get up to here. And then we can have this greater dip down to retest this region without, you know, going into that wave one region either. So that's potentially what we can be seeing in a long-term sort of chart. I would think it would hold higher at this point, just with FOMO, sort of retest these regions. So, you know, this kind of, the 21,000 sort of chart that I've got here, and I've had this for quite some time. So potentially if we can hit that pivot, 10,700, and I, you know, being as we're trading sideways for such a long period, I think the whales and the exchanges understand how critical that is to hit those key points, so that, you know, the long-term health of BTC, where, you know, hitting key points, then coming down, correcting, and, you know, there's enough liquidity there to move us higher. And then once we decouple from the traditional markets, you know, mums and dads investors get in and probably get stuck at the top again. But so
not if they follow your analysis, they won't, Lisa.
Not if they follow me, no. But a lot of the time they just come in and they just buy. So yeah.
Yes, I don't think Bitcoin's going to remain boring for too much longer.
I hope not. So it's been a month of sideways, as we've seen. So
you've also just shown us there's plenty of action in some of these other projects. So I'm going to take some great interest in having a look at some of the fundamentals this week before our Monday session next week.
Yeah, so there's always something you can trade. So if, you know, I was listening to your Ethereum one, and I've left some comments on there as well. So because you asked, would you go 1 BTC or 32 Ethereum to stake it? And I left a comment that you should never, ever go all in on one coin. So, you know, diversify your portfolio. As I've explained before, I'm 25% BTC, 25% Ethereum, 25% in BSV. And then I've got 25% that I spread throughout on alts. So, and, you know, if BTC, Ethereum, and BSV are not moving, I'm still making money in alts. And they've all been really good this week. So, you know, as we can see, the ERD trade, as I was selling out of other alts, I was buying back into that, putting more funds into it. And yeah, it's...
You probably had more fun with that other 25% more than the other three, I would imagine.
Yeah, you know, when Bitcoin's doing its thing and it's actually moving, then it's kind of fun. But yeah, right now, so picking the alts has been a fun thing. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, it's been interesting for me to do a bit of a dive into what is happening, you know, outside of Bitcoin and some of these other projects. And obviously, with Ethereum 2.0. What's going on with, you know, some of these DeFi projects. I think you'd be insane to not understand what is happening there. You know, for me, if there is going to be a huge gain in something, it is going to be around one of those projects.
Yeah.
I don't want to go off half cocked, not really understanding. I've got you to help me with the charts and some pretty good people around me as well, looking at the fundamentals at the moment.
Yeah, there's
So
some great coins like trading at the moment, like just because of fundamentals. And, you know, people on Twitter always sort of tag me and stuff and say, hey, this is happening, or, you know, check this out. This one's got a main net launch coming up or something like that. So, you know, I don't trade all of those. Not all of those are tradable. Not all of them have the liquidity, but you know, some of them like ERD, and Eidoo also have the liquidity in them and have the strong movement. So, and that's something that I look for when I'm looking at all of these things. I do look at the patterns. I do look, you know, if it's got these incredibly long, huge wicks, there's no way I'm touching that chart. So, yeah, they're just pump and dump coins.
lots of food for thought. Some interesting projects I'm going to go and have a look at. So, speaking of interesting projects, how's everything else going for you at the moment? Saw a bit of news around your movie script.
Yeah, so I just got a nomination for an award. So for the script, which is very exciting, and a finalist in one of the categories. So that was really, really exciting. I've spent the week doing some minor edits, which has been really nice. So there's not a lot of stuff that needs to happen. So we've got the storyline sort of really working now, and it's really flowing. The dialogue's really flowing, and the next edit, which I hope is nearing the last one, we're going to bring a lot more sort of crypto and the business stuff back in. We've taken it out so that we could get the relationship storyline happening. Yep. And yeah, so it's a layering process. So you sort of work it through, you work out where things work. Some stuff that was originally at the end of the film is now at the beginning of the film. And yeah, so it's sort of, you know, chops and changes, and it helps the flow. And it's a really interesting way how, you know, from, if you were to see the first ever draft, and I looked at it the other day and I'm just like, oh my God, that's so terrible. It's like, I thought this was the best thing ever. I'm like, oh, this is so great. I'm now at version 30, and, you know, that is like over 18 months I've been working on this project. Yeah. And it's so exciting to look back and see the changes, and, you know, see what's happened with the characters. And obviously it's based on a true story, but that sort of, you know, you get sort of nuances come in, and, or, you know, sort of things that aren't quite real are now in the story. It gets Hollywoodized. So yeah, so it's kind of cool.
Oh, I can't wait. It's great to have a front row seat to see it all taking place for you. And obviously, right. Hollywood's sort of getting back into action now. We actually got released here on Friday. 4.5 minutes. I've got to leave the front door.
Well, we got released, and then they're saying that today they're clamping down again on some of the because they've had a spike in Victoria, and I'm just like, no. Yeah. So yeah, hopefully not. But I was looking online, and I'm like, when can I fly? Not for it. It's still nothing.
Oh.
I'm gonna see you sulking. That's why I've got the background. I'm you know, I'm at the Northern Lights. I'm living vicariously through Zoom.
Oh, very good. Yeah, I might have to go and run around a wee bit in the next few days, just in case they do close things down here again. It was incredibly nice to actually get out and.
You've got to go crazy, Sean. You've got to go crazy. Go out every weekend.
You know what? I sort of, for months, I thought that would happen, but when the time finally sort of came around, I ended up was actually fairly subdued. I was swum about 50 lengths of a Olympic-sized pool, which was absolute heaven. Just sort of being able to get out and do a bit of exercise and use my body.
I thought you were going to be the buffest man ever, lifting up your kitty litter. True. It's actually sitting here in the background. I might do a cat litter workout this afternoon, actually.
I don't think gyms are open yet. So
No, I think they're opening this week here in Australia. I think we're getting some of that sort of coming back. But, you know, I've been out to dinner and that's been a sort of a weird experience because all the tables are sort of really spaced out.
Mm.
And it's like you sit there and it's like normally you would be packed into these restaurants, you'd be overhearing everyone's conversation. So you can actually have a decent conversation with somebody without somebody going, oh, what's she saying? It's like...
Yes. So I haven't seen any polls from you on how men should be behaving on dates and so forth this week.
No, that's because I've got a nice one.
Aha. Oh, very good. Very good.
I can't tell him that because it might go to his head and then I'll have to do more polls.
Okay. I'm pleased to hear that. Very good. Very good. Excellent. Well, I know you've got to dash off shortly, don't you? To
I do.
yeah.
I've got a couple of meetings this afternoon, which is a bit exciting. So hopefully some more news there.
Yeah. Good luck. Good luck. All right. Well, I'll talk to you offline. But thank you very much for your time again on my happy place on Mondays with you. Very good.
Yeah. Thank you for having me again.
No problem at all.
My Northern Lights.
Yeah, we'll chat during the week. And I'm going to go and have a look at some of those projects that you mentioned in today's show now.
Cool.
Excellent. Speak to you soon. Thanks for joining us. We'll
don't forget to smash that like button.
Smash those likes, people, and subscribe. I think I need about 16 subscribers to hit 2,000. Come on, subscribe to the channel.
Get into 2,000. Smash the like. Smash it.
Thank you. All righty. See you next Monday, Lisa.
Bye.
Cheers. See ya.